green, in the black and the green.
United we stand, united we fall, united we plan. As a united front, united we stand, united we fall, united we plan. As a united front.
This message has been brought to you by WMFW, which means we must fight and win FM. Stay tuned for more music coming at you. All right.
Yeah, greetings people and welcome to another session, another volume in Tunes and Attack, your intercommunal sound service. Yeah man, and today I'm doing the show standing, and there's a reason for that, and I'm standing in solidarity with all the protesters who are protesting properly. I'm not talking the looters, so let's forget about that. But I'm standing in honor, and not just the George Floyd situation, but all the innocent black female and males who have been murdered over the years by white police, and also standing for my ancestors who have been brought, from the homeland to another land, kept in bondage, slaughtered, murdered, some on the way, to the land they were taken to. Some had to just decide to take their own life by jumping overboard. So I'm standing in solidarity of all of that. And I'm also standing, making it clear to whomsoever view this and people who have happened to have access to seeing this, let it be known from here on in, I'm taking no prisoners, no shorts, no nothing. Any form of racism or any form of slight white supremacy or superiority I come across, I'm going to deal with it right away. I'm going to point it out. Whether you're a very close friend, family or what, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because I'm going to be honest, part of me is saying, go to war. Be mad, be angry, rip the world up. And then part of me was saying, stay focused, keep it on the level, and just do the best for humanity as I've always been doing. So let's see, and I'm just being honest. So that's how it is. And this is my reason for my stance. Yes. So I'm gonna split the show in three today, and it's a lot of talking more than the music today because there's a time when we just gotta communicate. So sit down for a moment and have a listen and see if you get anything out of this. I also want to speak about George, but not George Floyd. But I'll do that after I come back from this track. The first track you heard was Arrested Development United Front, meaning we all come together as a people, we stand together, and we go forward, we move forward together in supporting. So yes, this is a black person's cause, but we are calling also on other races to stand and support. That's what it's about, United Front. My next track to you is from Callier, and it's called Speak Your Peace.
Message from the east. Down, baby, baby, said it's time to speak your piece. Yeah, tell me, na, na, na. Na, 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 na. Oh, la, 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 yeah. Down, them thoughts on my mind. Sit down, friends and family left behind. I said down. Say 369, the goose drank wine. Monkey played the fiddle on the Liverpool line. The monkey took a toke, his life went up in smoke. I gotta get some cash, I'm tired of being broke, shit. Talking about down, far as the eye can see. So down, I can't let that bother me. Say I be down till I see your smiling face. Sit down, and I know I found my place. I'll let her go, let her go. You better go down. Speak your peace. Let her go, let her down. Go to let her, go to let her. 369, the goose drank wine. Monkey played the fiddle on the Piccadilly line. Monkey was a joker, acting out in class. Somebody finally put a foot upside his monkey ass. Sit down, but the future's yet to come. Down, so much is left undone. Sit down, people acting so blasé. Down.
Sounds of Terry Callier and Speak Your Peace. Yeah, so as I mentioned, I want to speak about George Stinney. Yeah. And I sent, some stuff and I shared with quite, a lot of you, family and friends, because I realized a lot of people aren't aware of certain things that goes on in this society. And as such, that's what I'm doing. I'm making people aware of stuff that goes on, the reality. And the story of George Stinney is that this is around 1944. And it's a case where a youngster was charged for the murder of two white girls, aged 7 and 11. This youngster was 14 years of age. And, what happened is a story as it goes. They found the two bodies near his home. What happened, is that he was arrested, actually taken from his family, and they weren't allowed to see him. As a matter of fact, they never see him again. He was locked away until, the trial and his sentence, because his trial lasted just 2 hours and 10 minutes to come to a verdict. All-white jury, all-white court, all-white judge, everything white. He was not offered any lawyer, no support, nothing. Just locked away from his parents, in confinement, far from his home, awaiting his trial and execution. And yes, he was executed. For me also, he was murdered. A 14-year-old. And his execution was by the electric chair, sending 5,380 volts through his head. That's what they did. George Stinney, the youngest person to ever be executed. I wonder if that's in the Guinness Book of World Record. Check it out for my people and let me know. A young black man taken from his family and taken from creating his own future. 70 years after, his innocence was proved. The killer who did it put the bodies nearby his home for him to take the blame. The child of a parent was executed because he was set up, and no fair justice system was there to protect him. I feel for the parents, and most of all, I feel for George Stinney, because the cruelty on top of all that, they gave him a Bible to walk with to the electrocution chair. So sometimes I don't want nobody even tell me about Christianity or all of that. I'm being honest. I'm telling you people, because this Bible thing. And let me tell you something. I was invited to a church by an elderly white man, I could say recently. And he invited me to church for a reason. He didn't tell me, but I knew exactly what he was saying. Because when I step into that church, I am so precise. I was the only black person. A church full of white congregation. 1 Chinese and 2 Italian. That's how precise I was. And when I entered that church, a picture of a black Jesus and a black Mary and a black Joseph stared me in the face. Massive picture. And by the end of that ceremony, white people and everybody in that congregation went to the altar, kneeled down in front of that picture, black Jesus, praying and crossing the heart. After the ceremony, he took me to the office of the church, and when I went in there was nothing white, black Jesus. So you tell me what's going on, But anyway, the focus is on George Stinney for me, because we all know about the situation about George Floyd. And the thing I get from that, with those police officers, they know they're going to get off. Because you ain't going to tell me that you're going to commit a murder in broad daylight, comfortable. And those police are a representation of the police force within the police force. So maybe what he's done, it's given him his stripes, his praise behind closed doors. And I can tell you, check the records. There's a lot of KKK members who are joining the force are in the police force. US we are speaking about at this point. So I'm not going to put my focus there. We all know what's happening. We all got to figure out what to do. When your own president can't come forward and address the situation, what does that say? And that's where a lot of you, I sent you those things. Put the pieces of the puzzle together. Think for yourself. Focus. Yeah. So we are in a time of pandemic. I don't want nobody come telling me about COVID-19 either or bring any corona story to me. Nobody. Nobody whatsoever. Because this is the real pandemic, people. And this is what we need a cure for. This police brutality, this racism. And then again, a place that was built on pillage and plunder and murdering. How can you find justice? I won't even ask how you can find peace, because you will never find peace. But how can you find justice or get justice? You tell me. So this is the real pandemic. And this is where my focus is. Yeah. So my next track to you is one of my own personal production, my own music. Yeah, I don't play my stuff that often, you know. And this one, Love is a Bassline, is on production and features Sims, and it's called The Music. And this is what I turn to and keep my focus and keep my sanity and keep myself at peace when I want to stay at level.
Me turn up the treble and the bass, crank the volume. Sounds from the speakers, me soul consume. The music, me love a family friend. The music, me comforter to the end. Me hip and me hopper to the sounds non-stop. Chronic grooving till perspiration drop. The music, me love a family friend. The music, me comforter to the end. Smiles from sadness come through the rhythm. For this reason, the music and no schism. The music, me love a family friend. The music, me die with in the end.
Yeah, the music, give me that feeling. The thing that keeps me sane most times. So yeah, as I was saying, it's very interesting seeing how, we as a people are heading and behaving. And it makes you ask the question, is the law a law unto themselves only? Because I've seen some stuff, it's unbelievable. And it's not just the US, but even as I'm doing this recording, news, Israel, Palestine. A 4-year-old got shot in the head by an Israeli soldier. That same weekend before this recording, an Israeli shot a Palestinian youth who's autistic. So the violence is global. And that's why I'm taking a stand against the injustice, the humanity. Not just by people of power. But other humans who should have some sense of humanity. And I'm not going to lie, people. I'm standing here, I feel a lot of hurt. I'm just even trying to contain myself still. But I'm just saying it like it is. For me, all those officers should be charged first degree, and not just the officers, but the sergeant, whoever is responsible for them, the senior who writes the report, the people who they represent, all the way to the head. All of them are murderers. All of them. Not just the police who literally and physically did the job and the one standing by with his hand in his pocket looking on. The whole line should be charged. And it makes me goes on to saying something now. I'm shifting a little bit. What happened to the UN, the United Nations? What happened to the human rights? What happened to all the churches who should be, taking a stand? Especially like the Pope. People who have this authority have something to say. What happened? United Nations. Where are you? The Human Rights Council, everything. Where you all are to take a stand. But yet when people throw plastic bottles in the sea and, pollute the place with that sense, or people cutting down trees, you all attack those situations quickly. And some of you celebrities, you talk about this and that and in your comfort of your own home and all that, and chatting rubbish, about COVID doesn't respect anyone or whatever and blah, blah. There are things out there killing people more than COVID. So that's why I have no time for rubbish. Oprah Winfrey, you're a woman I respect. And I wonder where you were. I'm not hearing your voice. You have a massive platform. And I hope you get this. Because I'm going to send it your way also. Hopefully you can tune in because you're one of the core persons. Richest black woman in America. That's not important for me. But you're one of the most powerful figure. And I scoured around the internet because I'm saying I'm not hearing Oprah. And I saw you with your friend Gail doing a little speech. That was fluffy, I have to say. And it makes me feel like, man, if this is what we are encountering, when people like Oprah Winfrey say what she said, which is nothing, it was nothing, where are we heading? So I want some of you people in position, take a look at yourselves and see where you're going. Take a stand. And this is where I feel like musicians with power from across the globe should come together. There should be some sort of music festival. I remember in the 80s when I was in Jamaica, in the UK, they'd be putting on festivals claiming aiding for Africa. Great turnout. Yes, I saw a lot of my favorite artists and watching it as a youngster at that time, and a lot of big name, which makes me say, Mr. Gabriel, Peter Gabriel, you've started one of the biggest, most powerful musical entity, WOMAD. So I'm calling on you because I remember the first time I saw you was on the TV, a black and white TV I was watching, the song Biko. I didn't understand the song fully or what was going on because I was a youngster, but somehow something about it moved me and I remember standing there and watching that song. And it so happened that I became a part of your franchise doing stuff under your banner. So I'm calling on you, Mr. Gabriel, gather some musicians together and have a music, stand against police brutality, stand against injustice, because that's why you started WOMAD, to show the stupidity of racism. So correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm calling on you, Mr. Gabriel, along with Richard Branson. You also are a music mogul in your own way. You two are very influential people. So I'm calling on you both. Gather some musicians and let's get together and do something musically against all what's happening. All this injustice, all this cruelty across the world. I don't want nobody also, like I said before, tell me about any COVID or anything. We stand together, have a music festival, people coming together, embracing, holding, arms in arms. Because the real killer are the people who wear the suits and hide behind a badge. That's what we need vaccines for, as George Clooney would say. That's the real pandemic. So people like Oprah Winfrey, Peter Gabriel, Richard Branson, I'm calling on you all. And anybody in influential places, from the media, from the music world, there are artists taking a stand in their own way. Sports people. We need to get together and sort this out. And I'm going to go as far as saying, here in the UK, we need to stamp out the institutionalized racism. NHS, I have to call you out. You all talking about protect the NHS and all that. NHS should be protecting us. Why should we protect NHS? When you talk about frontline workers, and when I see billboards, I see 3 billboards, you only show white faces. When the NHS workers, it's a mix. Take down those billboards and show a true representation of what the so-called frontline workers are then, in my view. It's multicultural. So you are perpetrating the same thing, NHS. And NHS was originally started by a group of black women, black immigrants, black nurses who wrote the ethos on what it should do. Speak the truth. And look what's happening now. So until you can be truthful, you can be honest, and you can stamp out the institutionalized racism, then maybe I as a person, I'm not speaking for anyone, maybe I can then help protect the NHS. But at this point, I can't protect it because it's not protecting me. It's not doing its duty. Truth be said. And I am a law-abiding, outstanding, upright citizen. But I don't need to prove a point or try to be all nice. Right now, I don't see the point. The school, aka the educational system, you still perpetrate segregation and racism in the classroom to this day. Even some schools have just opened, and a parent who went in saw a scene and took a photo. You have the few black children on one side and the entire white class on the other side. And a teacher is teaching inside the classroom. So a lot of people need to look in themselves. And especially I'm speaking to white folks at this point. Because you say you're the dominant race, the privileged race. So this is the time you start take a look inside. A lot of you musicians, and also including people I know, whether you're producers, DJs, or you're singers, a lot of you, most of you, your work are black orientated. Whether you take samples from black music and build your own production, or you sing over black music, but a lot of you, your music are black based. And sometimes I hear some of you say some things and I have to kind of pull you up. But no, I'm going to get serious. Any little mistake, I'm going to just call you out. Because as somebody say, you cannot enjoy the rhythm and ignore the blues. So I'm calling on you musicians, people in the music fraternity, my white counterparts. Start looking within yourselves. Yeah? And be aware. Be aware. That's all I am saying. Next track to you is from Fiddler with Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare on production. This was done in Jamaica. And this one is called Black House. Paint the White House black. Sounds of Fiddler with Sly and Robbie black house, paint the White House black, and I'm in total agreement with that. But then again, wasn't Washington D.C. built off a town in Egypt, and wasn't it a black man who created or designed the whole area of Washington? I don't know. Look it up, people. Check it out and hit me up with that information. I could be wrong, I could be right. But check it out. Washington, D.C. Yeah? And I want to read something from a friend who responded to me when I sent out some stuff. It's very interesting. I got back a lot of response. And it was really heartwarming in a sense. And like I said, a lot of people are being aware, and that's the whole point. Because I'm not saying everybody knows everything, and there are people who will, also live in their comfort zone and not experience certain things. So it's a point of making people aware. And as a human, you should have some essence of feeling to give that sense of awareness, and that's my view. But this is a friend of mine who is also a musician, and he dropped me this text. I had a little chat, and then he says here, one of the questions I often ask myself is, what would I do if I was present when such a thing was taking place, both as a witness as well as a victim? I find that because people cannot stop or interfere with the work, in brackets, of the forces without getting into serious trouble themselves, that it is very difficult to change the outcome of such a situation. Even family and friends are powerless when the mindlessness is in control. That's a fact right there, and that's truth right there. There doesn't seem to be a safe word, understandable, yeah? And from all the clips that I have studied so far, there seems to be a breakdown of communication as well, with the forces refusing to listen. That's the actual truth and fact right there also. You always pay attention to the clips. That's a fact again. I use the word force because I want to express the inherent difference of strength and power that is obvious in these situations. He goes on to say, I have signed the Avaz petition. It asks that other officers could be liable if they at some point feel that excessive force was used. I think that's the only short-term solution, that a seed of common sense and humanity is at least with one member of the force, because I find only they themselves can communicate to each other in those particular moments to reflect on the situation. Precisely. There are more I could read, but I had to pick that one out. Precisely. And that's my whole point also. What happened to George Floyd and others? Other officers could have communicated. Which leads me to point out again, there is a police force within the police force. And they travel together. This was told to me by a senior police officer who was retired from the force. What goes on? There's a police force that's trained differently from a different perspective. And what I realized also from the whole hooliganism of the police force, not saying everyone, but on a general note, when they wear these earpiece and these tactical gears and all of that, it seems to give them a sense of superpower and authority because the behavior is totally different. And that's what I realize. So, we've got a lot of work to do. And you know what? It's down to you as an individual. As Michael Jackson would say, it starts with the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror too. It starts with you as a person. Whether you experience all of these injustices or not, a progression to humanity starts with you. How you lift yourself out of certain mind frame. How you get yourself to a certain state if you know you are thinking something of injustice and all of that. It's you as a person have to work on yourself. We all do, because I have to work on myself. As a youngster growing up and see all the atrocities, of course, I hated white people. Even despite I've got white ancestry, I hated white people. But then when you put yourself on a journey, you evolve. Because no one is born a racist or a bigot. You have to learn that, or you have to be taught that. Then you can do the duty of unlearning, so to speak. So everyone has a point where they work on themselves. And you have to be aware. And that's all I'm saying in a nutshell. Some people will have the experience, because I've experienced, my injustice in a way, dealing with police and all of that. You'll be minding your own business and people put you in trouble, which I'm going to say, that's another thing with white privilege. Sometimes they know the consequences when they call the police on a black person for no reason. And that's white privilege. So some of you, careful how you use your privilege. Luckily, I'm a person I can articulate myself, and sometimes people look at you and they know, don't mess with this one. Stay back. Know your rights. Know how to articulate yourself. Know how to present yourself. And don't think you're powerless people. And I'm talking to my black people. And I'm talking to people who feel less privileged. And I'm talking to people also who feel like they've got no place in society. You catch my drift? So we got work to do. COVID and Corona is not the problem right now. This police brutality, this murdering, this injustice, that's the problem. That's the pandemic. That's the global pandemic. And it's been going on for centuries. Centuries. So this is where I draw my line. Because like I said, if I'm moving in any vicinity and I hear anything funny, I'm going to document and I'm going to call out that person. I hear it also in the music industry, which is my life. So pay close attention, because any little thing I hear, any movement, I'm going to call you out. And like I said earlier on, I'm calling on figures like Oprah Winfrey. Step up to the plate. I'm calling on Mr. Gabriel, Peter Gabriel, people like Richard Branson. You all have connections, just the three of you alone. Let's step up to the plate. I would love for the media to put out something positive. It's too negative and trying to instill the fear, and also supporting what's going on with people, murderers, who took the life of people like George Floyd, people who took the life of George Stinney. Yeah. So the media makes some true representation. Opera, that's your strong point. We need some music. That's the universal language bringing us together. Mr. Gabriel and Mr. Branson, that's your strong point. Yeah? So let's come together. The media and the music for positiveness. Let's stand against brutality, injustice, because you all make money in aid of Africa. You all know each other. So I'm calling on you all, and spread your wings and the power, the influence you have, and start to make a change. You in particular, Mr. Gabriel, I know you stand for something. You're a rebel in your own disguise and rebel with a cause. Bring that back. The color purple opera, go back to that and remember that. Mr. Branson, you understand life. You know what goes on. I'm calling on the three of you. So until then, people, I'm going to leave you with a song from Enigma, and it's called The Silent Warrior. And like I said, the music is the message, and the message is in the music. Listen carefully. Still, I feel split in half, and I feel like I could be at war. But then again, I have my other side where I'm at peace with self. But that doesn't mean I'm at peace with what I'm seeing, no. But I'm at peace with self. That's what I want you to be, want you to have. And I'm not just talking to you who view this. I'm sending this frequency to all the so-called world leaders, elitists, power-hungry people. The law. I'm sending it to you also. Find some inner peace. Once you can do that, that gives you the awareness. And once you have awareness, you will be human. Enigma and Silent Warrior. Until then, as I always say, peace, love, unity. Take the time to be kind to each other.